Hello, my name is Chelsea John, and for my second career profile, I decided to do it on a marriage and family counselor or therapist. There are lots of different organizations that you can do this through, or you can do it on your own, being self-employed. Um, but for the sake of the assignment, I spoke to someone who had worked for many organizations and himself, but I got specific information about his work at the BYU Idaho Counseling Center. And his name is Bryce Owen. And as he explained, a lot of the working environment is really diverse and depends on the organization. It's also very flexible, with lots of personal independence, very family friendly. You kind of get to choose your own hours, either based on your clientele or your own personal schedule that you have, um, as well as some of the typical stressors that he mentioned. Um, One of his greatest ones is that sometimes someone's life can be in danger or at stake, and they are trusting in you to help them overcome that. Or sometimes they're not trusting in you, and other people are putting them in your hands, and that can be very stressful, especially since after a certain point, there's not much that you can do as a counselor or a therapist. Everyone has their own agency and makes their own choices, and that can be very stressful to want others to make the right choices and to see when they don't. Um, he also said that another stressor that usually is when you just are self-employed and not necessarily with an organization is billing, and this can be different based on people's financial needs, their um, or financial ability to pay certain amounts, or their different counseling needs. It's also very chaotic and kind of a hassle to work with different insurances and their different policies as far as paperwork and billing that way. Um, some of the typical benefits, obviously, if you're self-employed, you don't get a whole lot of benefits as far as health and retirement and that sort of thing goes. And my contact with his personal experience with organizations, lots of the organizations don't that he worked with don't actually offer the greatest benefits, as far as that goes. He did say that BYU Idaho Counseling Center offers some great benefits, mostly because it's a college package deal where all employees, whether you're an art professor or teach biology or maths or are a counselor in the center, they all get the same benefits packages. So then it's not based on your specific job, but overall. And the church is usually good at taking care of its employees, and so that was a pretty good um, benefit package, which included health and retirement and other sort of things. Um, However, it's kind of hard to find in other organizations, and very hard to find when you work for yourself. Some of the common job tasks, obviously, you meet with people, whether it be individuals or couples and families in general. You could also do group therapy. My personal contact said that he prefers to work with couples and families because he's found that that's most effective, um, in his own personal history. But as you meet with them, you ask them questions, you work with them so that they can overcome their own problems and stumbling blocks. You can't really fix them or fix their problems, but your job is to help enable them to be able to. Um, Other parts of the job include diagnosing and treating different disorders, whether that's mentally, emotionally, socially, personality disorders, kind of all encompassing there. That's part of the duties of any kind of therapist or counselor. Um, and sometimes the part of your job could be implementing individual plans with the couple or family or individual, whatever the case may be, to help them overcome their issues themselves. The education requirements: in order to do any form of counseling or therapy, a master's degree is required. While that is very specific, the bachelor's degree, in order to get into the grad program for this, is not necessarily specific. You can major in physics and then go on to get a counseling master's degree. However, my contact recommended getting a bachelor's degree that has anything to do with the marriage and family sciences, psychology, sociology, anything that deals with working with people and their different perceptions of things. As far as the salary goes, it's varies incredibly depending on how often you're able to do it. If you are self-employed, work with an organization, where in that organization is located, what the demand for good counselors or therapists are there. Um, and so generally the starting salary can be anywhere from 30,000 to 60,000, kind of across the board. That's what I found. However, once you get more experience, it really depends on where you're at and how much they value your position and your personal experience. Um, so the information I found on this is that the experience salary could range anywhere from 40,000 to 102,000, which is a huge range, and it just shows how different perspectives of the need of this career are. Some miscellaneous career information. As I was talking with my contact Bryce Owen, he said he really is a competitive person and he likes new challenges, and he just said that this career is a great opportunity to face new challenges every day. Every single session is a new challenge. Every person you meet is a new challenge to help impact and influence their lives for good. And it's important, he said, to keep that perspective, because lots of times people can get burnt out at this profession after 10, 15 years, especially if you deal with lots of trauma type victims or different things like that. Depending on who you meet with, it can be very hard and very tiring after a while. So it's important to keep a good perspective, whether for you that's that it's a new challenge or that you get to help people, whatever the case may be, just to keep a good positive outlook on what you're doing and your life in general. Try not to take your work home with you at the end of the day. Just be able to live your life separate of that. And that is all that I have on being a marriage and family therapist and counselor. And thank you very much.